After seeing some of my shots from Iceland, some of you asked how I made my panorama. So I'm going to make a video about when to make a panorama and how to make a panorama and also how to edit a panorama. And what I think is interesting is that there are many uses for panoramas. It's not just about looking cool, Tony.
Everything is about looking cool tonight, Chelsea.
It's definitely not as pretty here in southeastern Connecticut as it is in Iceland, so now we're driving around looking for a decent shot. Spoiler, it's not gonna be great. It's not gonna be great. It's not gonna be great, Tony. If you'd like to learn more about taking outdoor photos in general, I recommend checking out a series on Skillshare by Chris Burkhardt called Outdoor Photography, Shooting at Sunset, Sunrise, and Night. Chris walks you through some of his photos, will inspire you to shoot, teaches you some really great tips, and shows you how he edits his outdoor shots. The first 500 of you to click the link in the description below will get a 2-month free trial to Skillshare, so you can check out Chris's course for free. Thanks, Skillshare. So first I want to talk about when to use a panorama, because it's not just about those long skinny photos that look cool. It can be very practical and it's a good tool that you should have, and it's free. You can't really beat that. So this picture that I took in Iceland, it's a panorama because I was too close to my subject and my lens wasn't wide angle enough. I couldn't take one single shot where I could capture everything that I wanted to. So I took 4 photos side by side and then stitched them together. You can take a lens that's a zoom lens and make it a wide angle lens just by taking multiple shots. It's also a great tool to have if you want a higher resolution photo. Just take a panorama, take multiple shots, stitch them together. You can make a gigapixel print if you want to. So you don't have to be limited by a lower megapixel sensor. You could have a 24 megapixel sensor and stack and stitch multiple photos and end up with a gigapixel shot. You want to make sure that you're stopping in between each shot so that you're not getting camera shake and that you're overlapping each frame by about 30%. So a third of each frame should overlap to make sure you don't get any gaps when you're processing your photo. I took a shot with a 16 to 35 millimeter lens and I got everything in the scene in one shot, but I know I'm going to want to zoom in and I won't have the details. So instead I'm zooming into 200 millimeters. I'm going to take multiple shots and I'm going to stitch them together for a high-res panorama. So a few things you should know. If you use AFC, it could screw up your shot. For your autofocus, you want to use AFS or back button focus so that your camera's not focusing all over the place as you're taking multiple photos. Another thing is you should be shooting raw because you'll capture better dynamic range. You want to make sure that you pick a shutter speed that's high enough to eliminate camera shake, because if you have one blurry photo, it's going to ruin your entire panorama. You also want to make sure that you pick an f-stop that's high enough to get the furthest thing that you want in focus, and the closest thing that you want in focus. Also, that extra depth of field makes the transition from shot to shot more natural, I've found. And I'll often even just pick multiple settings and try that panorama several times so that when I go back into my computer and I edit, I know I'm gonna get a perfect shot. A single row panorama like this is an easy place to start. Let's get to the processing part because it's pretty easy. I think you're gonna be surprised. My picture from Harkness was unimpressive. It was pretty ugly, it was pretty boring. So instead I'm gonna show you on my Iceland pictures. Select your photos that you're using in your panorama, right click, and then go to photo merge. If you bracketed your shots, you can go to HDR panorama, otherwise just select panorama. Now there are 3 different projections: spherical, cylindrical, and perspective. And you can play with those and see which one works best for you. I'm going to use spherical. I know that one works for me. And then if you use boundary warp, that will help fill in these white edges. That looks good. That was easy. Now just click merge. And just like that, your panorama has been created. And now you can go into the develop module and you can do whatever edits you want to do to beautify your image. It's just that simple. And now you see that you can make a panorama almost as simply as you can process other photos. So if you don't have that wide angle lens, it's not a problem. You can shoot a panorama. If you don't have a super high megapixel camera but want to make a huge print, it's not a problem. You can just make a panorama. It's so easy to do and it's really a useful skill to have. So you should try it out. This video was brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. You can check out Skillshare today, and I recommend trying Chris Burkhart's class, Outdoor Photography, Shooting at Sunset, Sunrise, and Night. Skillshare is super affordable. You can get an annual subscription for less than $10 a month. So join the 7 million creators learning with Skillshare. The first 500 subscribers to use the link in the description below will get a 2-month free trial. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, you can hit subscribe down below and you'll be notified whenever I make a new video. Thanks so much.